uh, kind of rehash from Friday night the win over Lehigh. I thought our guys played really hard and for the most part played well. We had some errors that we kind of worked through on Sunday and things that we obviously have to do better. Um, we had some issues just with tackling fundamentals that we got to resolve, particularly today when we're in full gear and just finishing plays on offense that we'd like to do a better job of. So there's plenty to work on, and it was good to get a win, but certainly the team that we're going to face this week, Florida Atlantic, and the talent of this team that we're going to face. Coach Herman and his staff, they're just extremely well coached football team, and to watch them battle against a Big Ten team like they did and play so well against a team that comes out of one of the Power Five conferences was very impressive. So this is a good football team that we're getting ready to face, and we're going to have to play particularly well to give ourselves a chance to be in a football game. So fortunately, we got a couple of days to get to work on that, to devise a game plan and try to get our guys to play better fundamentally and make the trip down to Florida and hope we can give them a game.
Rich, you want to kick us off?
Coach, going into Friday night, obviously there were things you wanted to see. From what you saw Friday night, how does that transition here into the second week going on the road with first conference game? How can you build on the things you were looking for?
Oh, there were some good things, obviously, but you know, no discredit to Lehigh, but they're not their team speed isn't going to be the same as what we face this week. The overall talent level of Florida Atlantic is far and beyond what we saw on Friday night from Lehigh, and Lehigh has some good players, but there are a lot of good things that we did, but to really assess what kind of team we have compared to other teams in the American Athletic Conference, we're going to find out a lot this week, I'm sure. And so try to find the things where we executed well, fundamentally that we did well. Those are the things that we build on. Our tackling fundamentals, our blocking fundamentals, the ball exchanges, how we played in special teams, and our integrity to assignments, and did we have mistakes that were mental errors that can be corrected? All those things we're going to have to do really well in order to have a chance against Florida Atlantic. So playing our assignments correctly and playing well fundamentally is a must against this team. So we're going to focus and concentrate there, find the good things that we did, and try to correct any shortcomings we had from Friday night.
And Jeff, how significant is it for you playing a conference game, first conference game for Army in 20 years, going on the road, playing Florida Atlantic? How significant is this moment for you?
Yeah, it's exciting for our program and for this institution to have a chance to play in the American Athletic Conference, but it's a football game against an outstanding, talented, well-coached team that we're going to have to play really well against. And it wouldn't matter what conference they were in, if we were in a conference or not. It's a good football team we're getting ready to face. And so our focus is just completely on trying to match up as well as we can against Florida Atlantic.
Connor, go ahead on Zoom.
Good afternoon, Coach. Charles Grievous from GoBlackKnights.com. I'm assuming that you've had a chance to watch the FAU Michigan State game this past weekend, which was a close contest, as you mentioned. What challenges does this team or their team present, coming from both sides of the ball? And are there any players that caught your attention?
They've got great team speed, and they're really big up front. Their offensive line is enormous. They move people around. Defensively, I'm really impressed by the way they kept Michigan State off the board. Man, it's a close football game. against a well-respected team. The quarterback is really good on his feet. Ran the ball a bunch on Saturday or Friday night when they played. Excuse me. Their receiving core is super talented. And as I said, their team speed, secondary linebackers, they had a linebacker in double-digit tackles. So I mean, there's plenty of challenges, so, but I mean, I don't know where to say, oh, there's a place where we feel like, you know, we're more talented, we're faster, we match up better. I don't know that there is any positions like that. They're an impressive looking outfit. So, you know, to see them battle against Michigan State and then to you know, go back and look individually at their players and the matchups, and you know, they're slugging it out blow for blow individually with guys from a Big Ten team. So I mean, they're a good football team, Charles. Good, talented team.
And their defense appears to be a very active D, which is led by linebacker Jackson Ambush, which, by the way, is an interesting name for a linebacker. Is there any particular adjustments that you feel you have to make in order to be productive offensively, or just attempt to do what you do best, which is run the ball?
Well, what we do is fairly unique compared to other schools, and it's, you know, what we do offensively obviously is different from Michigan State, but it doesn't negate the fact that they have great team speed. And the Ambush kid that you mentioned, I think he had 11 tackles, and it is a great name for a linebacker. But he's just one of a number of guys on that defense that I was very impressed with. They're not. There's nothing that we're going to do that they're going to feel intimidated by in terms of us physically or speed. They are a fast football team, and they can run things down, and they can recover. If they do get out of position, they can recover quickly. And I saw that on film against Michigan State. So, you know, it's just a challenge to face a team as athletic and as fast as they are. And obviously, we don't know for certain what they'll line up, you know, on defense, just how they'll be structured. But you know, hopefully, our guys can perform the rules and the fundamentals, and whatever they line up in, that we'll have enough things that we can use to attack them and try to gain yards and move the football.
Thanks, Coach, and good luck on Saturday.
Thanks. We'll need it.
We'll go to Seth Mendelson.
Hey, Coach, great win on Friday. Having said that about Florida Atlantic, what are you telling your players going into this game in order to beat this team?
Don't miss assignments. Play great fundamentally. Value the football. I mean, all the things I tell them every week, because that's what we have to do. We're certainly not going to be, you know, collectively more talented than they are, faster than they are. If this was a track meet on Saturday, they'd win the track meet. If they, you know, took a height measuring contest, they'd probably be taller and longer. Just, it is what it is. But you know, if we play well fundamentally and we play our assignments and value the football, then we're going to give ourselves a chance. And that's what we're going to try to do on Saturdays, give ourselves a chance to win and play as hard as we can play, and hope that we can make enough plays to have a chance in the end to win.
Thank you. My last question. The weather's supposed to be in the low 90s and sunny. It's a noon start. Gonna be hot out there. Are you doing anything in practice to get your team ready for that?
Oh, I mean, I don't know how we control that. There's no way to control it. You know, hot, rain, cold, wind, those are all uncontrollables. The fans, the officials, all uncontrollable. So we just try to control what we can control. And that's our attitude and effort every day, trying to practice hard, trying to get good at the things that we're responsible for at our respective positions, and everybody doing their job, and try to go execute it well. And I'm sure it'll be warm. we got a good training staff and strength staff, and sure they'll have water with ice in it. You know, try to keep cool. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully our guys handle it well.
Thank you, Coach.
We'll go to Ken McMillan.
Hi, Jeff. Can you give us your assessment of Bryson Daly and, did he make all the right decisions you were hoping for?
He did a pretty good job with the reads and with his decisions. There's a couple throws he had on Saturday night that weren't probably what he was capable of, his best effort, but that happens. And you watch college football all weekend. I'm sure you did, I did. And there's quarterbacks that miss throws, quarterbacks that miss reads, and they're human beings, so they're going to make some mistakes. But I thought he played really hard. I thought he ran the ball hard. He led our team particularly well, just the confidence he had in the huddle. And so I thought he did a really nice job with his decision making. The one glaring thing that stood out that I thought was really poor on his part was the decision to try to pitch the ball out there on the perimeter on our sideline that careened off of the slot back's hand out of bounds. Fortunately, went out of bounds, and we maintained possession, but that was a poor decision. And he's just trying to make a play, but we've got to not try to press like that. So I don't know that he'll make that mistake again.
Taking a look at your depth chart, Cody Harris has moved up to #1 on the nose tackle. Can you talk about him and his performance so far you've seen?
He played really well on Friday night, and going into the game, we had planned to play all three of those guys at nose: Jacob Teote, Cody Winokur, and Cody, and he played the best and deserves and has earned the opportunity to start at least on Tuesday. Today on Tuesday, maybe he'll screw it up over the course of the week. We'll find out. But if he continues to practice well, then he's going to get to start on Saturday. But the other guys are still going to play. We'll have a rotation there on the defensive line, which is pretty standard for us. We play a lot of guys at those positions, whether it's nose or end.
What does Cody do well?
He's tough. He's strong at the point of attack. Keeps his pads square. Doesn't get deposited into the next gap or two gaps over on a double team. He's able to hold the point pretty good, and so that's kind of what we ask of that guy.
What did you think about the depth performance? I think you guys played about 80 guys on Friday. How'd you feel about how the ones and twos played, and how valuable will it be given the weather conditions this weekend to utilize as many people as possible?
We're going to play the guys that need to play. Our guys go out and sleep out at Camp Buckner in a sleeping bag on the ground. It gets to about 47 degrees at night, and they get rained on. And by the middle of the afternoon, in the same clothes they were wearing at 47 degrees, it's about 87. And they got a rucksack on, it weighs 100 pounds. And they're carrying ammunition and a rifle and a helmet on their head. And, it's not particularly comfortable or cool. So, our guys, they're soldiers, and they're trained as soldiers, and they learn to manage those conditions. That doesn't mean as an athlete that they don't get fatigued and get tired and need fluids. And sometimes we got guys that get cramps in their legs because it's hot and you lose fluids. But our guys are trained just because of what they do here. They've been through things like heat and cold and snow and all the conditions, and learn to operate under those conditions, which is important for them as soldiers and as leaders that will lead men and women in those conditions. And it also manages to prepare them for things like this, where we are maybe going to play in a game where it's particularly hot.
Last thing, Jeff, the defense showed itself pretty well on Friday. You had a couple interceptions. What's your assessment of the defense overall, and how critical was it getting those 2 picks?
Well, the interceptions were big, obviously, just the fact that the other team was in scoring position. And on the one they were driving there, there's a fourth down play, the one that Mays picked off, and Platt's interception in the end zone was obviously big because it kept them off the scoreboard. No points at all on that drive. Uh, and I thought our guys did a good job of tackling. There's some fundamental things we can do better. Our missed tackles in the opening game were down from what they were a year ago, and that's a positive. And there's there's different philosophies on defense. I mean, some people that are really athletic and physically superior, they can probably do whatever they want on defense. They can blitz as many guys as they want, as long as they got somebody to cover every eligible receiver man to man, they're fine. And they can do that and cover those guys tight enough that they don't give up a bunch of big plays and balls over their head. That's not necessarily how we're built. And we've got to put pressure on teams at some point, blitz and send extra guys, and we do that. But we've got to not give up big plays, and that's important, in my opinion. Playing good defense, no matter where you're at, it's not giving up big plays. And some people can do that, blitzing 7 guys, and we're not necessarily like that. We can't do that every single snap. We're gonna find ourselves looking at a receiver's towel waving at us on the way down the field. So, it's a little bit more of a bend, don't break mentality. And sometimes I find us bending a little too much, but when we come up with plays like Platt had in the end zone, it keeps them off the board. Really, that's the bottom line. We don't want them to score. And sometimes they flip the field. They start to drive on the 25, and we turn around, have the ball at the 20 after an interception. That's 45 yards of field position, which is a lot, and it's a field position game. But if it means no points, then it's worth it. So I thought the guys played hard. As I said, I think there's some things we can do fundamentally better, playing blocks and finishing tackles, and try to work on those daily and get better. And we're going to need to be better at playing blocks and tackling this week. We're playing a better football team, more talented team.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
We'll go to Ken Pratzer.
Good afternoon, Coach. How are you?
I'm great, Ken. Hope you're doing well.
Very good. Thank you. Hey, their coach, Tom Herman, really stands out. Second year at Florida Atlantic, but 5 years, I guess, at the University of Texas head coach, won a Turner Bowl, won a Big 12 championship. What's your experience with him, and what does he bring to Florida Atlantic?
He's a great coach. He's a very successful coach at the University of Houston prior to going to Texas. Well-respected offensive coordinator. And he's an outstanding coach. And so I met Tom for the first time, I guess, at our conference meetings. I hadn't had any interaction with him or squared off against him, where I knew him really well as a coach or anything like that. But I know how well respected he is in our profession, and he did a great job at Houston, did a great job at Texas, and so I'm sure he's going to do a great job at Florida Atlantic. I hope not this weekend.
Yes. Just to ask you, we talked a little bit about defense. How do you feel about pass rush, and who are the players that can help you mount a pass rush? And how much on defense is it about downfield coverage, playing a good offensive team like you will?
Well, as I mentioned, the offensive line that they've got is enormous. I mean, if you see an end zone shot this coming weekend where it's behind Florida Atlantic, and we're on the other side, there might be times where you don't see our defensive line. You know, their guys will stand up tall in front of our defensive line, and you know, you won't see Cody Harris Miller or Jacob Teote or Winokur. Maybe a shirt sleeve on the side. These guys are big. And so for our guys to just push them around and get a pass rush, you know, it's hard to do. We've got to move people around and you know, move the front and slant the front and bring an extra rusher from someplace in our defense to try to create some, I guess, pass rush or pressure to get the quarterback to throw the ball on time. And really, we just like for him to throw it on time where he doesn't have a chance to just hold it back there and pat it and wait for receivers to make double moves, because they got a bunch of really talented guys playing receiver that if you give that guy time, they're going to get open. So, as I said, we've got to keep those guys in front of us, not give up big plays, try to create ways to make them throw it on time, but also keep them contained. That was one of the things that Saturday night we didn't do well all the time, was contain the quarterback. Sometimes he got outside the pocket and created some throwing lanes. It also gave him a chance to run the football. So I don't want to do that with this kid. He's very talented. He's really good on his feet. And so we're going to do our best to try to improve in that area between now and when we play on Saturday.
Thanks, Coach. See you down.